So YouTube are even putting up videos now. Can you spot the manipulation? Misinformation loves to force decisions without giving all the options. Would you recognise it? Well, we could start with the petitions committee actually giving us some options that are lawful and within our rights instead of blagging us. You know, it's YouTube that makes up the questions and makes up the answers you can have. I really don't, so I guess I'm making this video for Dr. John Campbell because I don't really know who else to make videos to anymore because everyone's busy doing stuff. There's Neil Oliver, Russell Brand, George Galloway, everyone's doing their own thing and doing their own fight or their own campaigns. So Dr. John Campbell is basically focused on all these diseases that are, there's a lot of people dying. And that includes a lot of native British people without any prejudice. I'm not prejudicing anyone with that, but it's a fact, right? Well, anyone really. Dr. John Campbell did a video recently even saying that, people aren't getting the proper vitamins because of, sun absorption and old age, and then certain people are susceptible more than others. And then there's a bad diet they've got with all the McDonald's and fast food takeaways and the microbiome and the rest of it, right? So we're really not in a strong position with our general... So we're not in a really good situation. I've had to switch my memory card over. We're not in a really good situation with our national health at the moment as a people, right? Which is going to affect our performance. Our government is denying certain rights and lying about certain legal functions. And then we've got the police as well who are wanting more camera and surveillance. I mean, then again, this manipulation thing here that we're talking about. I'm recording this now with an image and the phone company keep updating my phone and manipulating me so that the functions on the phone keep changing and it's making me do things that I don't want to do. Like, I had some really cool controls at the bottom of the screen after I was watching a video, right, to go back. And now I've got to mess around. It's a YouTuber even. And, messing around with the controls, it actually really annoyed me and upset me. Messing around with the controls actually really, really annoyed and upset me. And I've got to, when... It's like I've got to go through this procedure now to get out of a video and go back to the main screen. And it's making me do all these combination of moves with my thumb that I don't want to do when I hold my phone a certain way and use it. That's manipulation. And that is actually the phone companies. And actually my mobile phone, Oppo, is owned by Google. So they're doing it. I can't actually spot the manipulation that Google are doing, And the devices are just one thing, but, there's all this Stop ULEZ campaign going off in London against the cameras, but they're blaming it all on Sadiq Khan, and then, they're getting everyone to vote for Sue Hall, and then what she's going to do is give all these cameras to the police, and then they're going to use them all for surveillance. It's almost like a rugby ball game where they're passing the rugby ball from one player to another, passing it to Sadiq Khan, and he passes it to Sue Hall, and she passes it to the police in order to get what they want, so we can't tackle them. So it's like, at the moment Sadiq Khan's got the ball, and then when everyone dives for, voting Sadiq Khan out, he's throwing the ball to Sue Hall, and then she throws it to the police. That's kind of like what they're doing. But, they've got everyone running around after the wrong target or the wrong person when everyone should be just petitioning Parliament, but they're blocking a lot of petitions out and, not letting some run. And then even when Andrew Bridgen MP goes in, none of them turn up. I really don't know. I also sent a lady a petition and she couldn't open it on Messenger. It just wasn't opening, but I'd sent her the link perfectly and she said that it wasn't opening. So there's something wrong with Messenger and political petitions and things. And then there was this Save the Trees group that we had, and then mysteriously when I started making videos and putting some really strong legal points down, then the woman who had the group took it down. mysteriously fell out with her husband, and then when the other lady started a group, and then that's mysteriously now. I'm sure that there's some sort of anonymous hacking going on, and I don't think that it is. It's from the count. It's from some construction or building or government departments that don't want us to stop them doing these projects. And I know that there are a lot of different campaign groups, but none of them are growing. None of them are getting bigger. They all stay small. Unless it's, ULEZ or something like that. The ones that they seem to want to grow big, I think they want people kicking off and smashing, cameras and stuff so that they can then use the police on them and say, oh, now we need more surveillance. It's almost it feels like we're in some sort of rigged system where they're allowing certain things when because it's a good way to prove evidence that they need more cameras. A good way to prove evidence that they need more surveillance and cameras is to have loads of campaigning riots and people cutting cameras down, but they're only doing that because they blocked the petitions committee. There's 2 petitions on change.org that have got over 200,000 signatures, but yet the one on the government website mysteriously has only got 1,500. I got the guy, admin of the group, to share it, right? And the group's got 80,000 people in it, and the admin of the group shared it, and it only got another 100 signatures. It doesn't seem right, that. There's got to be some manipulation in between. Can you spot the manipulation? Yeah, well, I can. Our council, our town has been completely and totally ruined, by just projects and building that we haven't really had a say in, and they're using strategic planning against us. Now they're saying that they're selling, the whole town centre is going to be taken over by the university, and they're bringing loads of fundings coming in from China. They're wanting to do this cultural heart, and they're going to end up taking over the town centre. So they're going to hijack the town centre for students and foreign students, and all the local people aren't going to be able to go in there. But the thing is, if we do, they've already had these loads of weird police operations at the university because of sexual advancement. Well, when did you used to have that at school? There's no need. Do you know what they're doing, right? They are, without question, they're bringing in what's happened in China with all that complete and total citizen obedience to everything, and everything's filmed, so a social point system thing. But we've already really got it because we're already fighting against each other. I mean, I was in a local group with normal local people, I would say my own peers, right? And they like the local ancient site, and I love the local ancient site. And I'm in the group, and then the guy who owns it, the admin, he ended up removing me, and it was literally over something and nothing, literally nothing. And you don't know whether it was him or not. But there was loads of weird stuff going on with the internet when, I tried to join with another profile and it wasn't working, and I don't think that he would have known it was me. We don't exactly know what is going on. And then the thing is that what they've done is they've done all these groups and split people into separate groups by design, and then they've got people into saying, you can only talk about certain things in certain groups, right? So you get friendly with a certain group of people, that they become your friends, your peers, if you all like the same subject, but you can't talk openly in a big group about things that concern those people. Like, for example, we're in that Ridgeway group. That's got over 100,000 people, with Giles, right? He's a poet, but he's in Australia. He's got a massive group, right? It's for the Ridgeway. Now, we all like countryside. We all like walking. We all want to protect and save the countryside, or those places won't be there anymore, right? But the thing is, if you go into that group and start asking for help and start saying, what we're going to do about the countryside, all these councils are doing all these projects and this and that, then you'll start getting the posts removed because people will start complaining and saying it's off topic. And then, if you push it, you might end up getting removed. And then what do you do? Talk to your own friends in Messenger, but, how many friends have you got on there? Most people only have a few hundred. You want to talk to bigger groups and get people together. There's a strategy behind this groups. It's good for learning, right? For education. I've never learned as much about, all these ancient sites and stone circles all around the country from the groups. It's amazing, but it's so authoritarian while you're learning about things that I don't know whether it's good or bad. I've never learned as much in my whole life. I've learned more than you could learn at school, over 20 years. But socially, it's almost like being under a regime because, you can only talk about cricket in the cricket group and so forth. Now, I know that they don't want loads of posts being flooded that are not relevant, but in a situation like now where there actually is a situation and people need to recognise that, you need to be able to speak freely or at least casually. Even if, I'm not saying that, if it's a darts group, you want to be throwing loads of posts in about hockey or whatever. But, if you're in a group that is about some sort of countryside thing, or ancient sites, and we know that the countryside's under threat, and it's a big group, then surely it's logical that you're like, what can we do about what's going on with, the councils are putting all these plans through. We can't oppose them. We've got rights, but they're not getting recognised. We need to get people together. You should be able to say that in a group like that because it's in the interests of those people. We're not flooding a Ridgeway and countryside group with posts about snooker. We're like, the country is under threat, and that those places might not be there soon or in the future, And the thing is, when you actually do find groups where they're trying to help in the countryside or trying to help save trees or trying to help save certain things, you end up trying to help them and you've got legal arguments and things like that, and either they don't understand it or they don't get it, and they end up getting deleted or removed. And the stronger and better the argument you've got, well, not argument even, just information basically, the more chance it seems of it getting removed. Like, I don't know whether it's like the more intelligent it is and the more correct it is it go over people's heads, but it almost feels like the stronger and more important thing you've got to do or say, it seems like the higher chance there is of it getting removed, when it actually should be like, people should be like, wow, this is the answer. This can actually make a difference. This is what we're looking for. And instead, they're just like running around like headless chickens or swarming, like kind of like Stop ULEZ, like, all over when, people are getting done, and we don't seem to be able to focus on the correct solution, or people can't see it. And when you try and point it out to them, things are getting removed or shut down. And I'm starting to think that it is some sort of AI program they've got or something that wants this strategy that they're doing to succeed. With all the Dr. John Campbell health issues that are now clearly evident, and then they're planning to, take over entire town centres with, China buying out the entire town centre and turn it into all universities, while lots of people in England are dying off. It seems to me like it's some kind of genocidal plan or some sort of like infiltration of foreign powers. And you know what the model is for this? The model actually is what's happening in the groups, but just like on a macro level. The groups are a microscopic level of what's going on. And what's going on is it's very become very regimented. You can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. You've got moderation, admins, supervisors, right? And they're pushing buttons and blocking stuff right? And then the thing is that that is but when you're actually all meant to be trying to help each other and work towards the same cause, you have got the same interests and the same goals, but it seems like when you come in there with something that can actually solve it and help, someone seems to block it, or an admin. But that means that someone who actually claims that, we love ponies and you love ponies, and then you come in with a solution to save ponies, you're getting blocked and removed, and then they don't save the ponies. Now, it seems to me that that's exactly what central government are doing, with the petitions committee. We've got answers and solutions and we can get people to sign things, but it's like they are pressing the admin button and not allowing this or not allowing that. And then what actually happens is everyone ends up kicking off even more because they're getting blocked. And then they've got an excuse, for even more harsh measures, and then send the police in and surveillance, But all the time. Now, even if you've got the same goal and interest as another individual, right? Let's say John and James, right? John and James have got the same goals and the same aims, and they both want to, rescue squirrels or whatever, but one of them has a perfect solution and answer, but they end up in conflict, even though they're wanting to do the same aim, and then, one of them ends up blocking the other one. Right? Now, how can they achieve the aims and goals if they're not willing to cooperate and work together? Now, the thing is, right, in this country, without being racist or without being, just being factual, if you've got people of a country who are on the same... I'm going to try and do this as politically correct as I can, right? If you've got people in a country who are meant to be on the same wavelength or are on the same wavelength, right? And they claim they've got the same goals and aims, and then one of the parties blocks the other party, yet they're meant to supposedly have the same aims, and they try and stop them and throw them out of the group. That is basically like, top banana and top banana, versus each other, but then top banana kicks out top banana, and then only one of them's top banana. What happens to the other banana? That banana gets removed, right? So what does the other banana do by himself? Well, he gets other people in who aren't going to, cause a problem. But we're not actually causing a problem. You're meant to be trying to help him, right? Now, the problem is, this is like the old George Galloway conundrum, It's almost like, it's like Jeremy Corbyn and Keir Starmer, isn't it? I feel like in the groups, a little bit like Jeremy Corbyn, basically, has done with the Labour Party. And I actually think that the Labour Party and Keir Starmer and Jeremy Corbyn is the model for this. And that is that Keir Starmer needs to remove and eradicate Jeremy Corbyn in order to be supreme master. And then he can have all his minions who fall in line underneath him, right? And unfortunately, I think that's what's happening to England. All these diseases were getting wiped out and being blocked politically, and then, they're getting the Chinese and the rest of the people in to replace us because we won't argue and be in competition with them. Well, you say argue and be in competition about what? Well, about how the country should be run. We all want to have the country run and it to run as efficiently as possible and as best as we can for everyone. But who's got the best idea for that? At the end of the day, that's just like saying, oh, we all want to save trees and we all want to, help the countryside or protect some woodland. But they don't want us to protect the woodland or the countryside because you're trying to help them protect the woodland and the countryside, but you're getting removed from the group. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because they don't understand what you're saying or what. This is when you're being polite as well. They can only do it because of these new tools they've been given. These buttons, when you push a button, you know. Now, if there is a walking group and lots of people who, you know, like walking just gather together in a big group of 100 people and start walking, who owns those people? Does anyone own them? Who's their master? Do you have a master? Who owns the walking group? Or is it just a group of people, free citizens who choose to come together because they like walking and then just let's walk, right? If you're in that walking group, right, and it's just lots of people walking by the river and you're talking to someone next to you, you've got the right to speak, right? What right has any other person in that walking group, if you don't break any law, right, to say, you know, fuck off, you know, get lost, go away, don't talk to anyone in my group? You can't do that. If you haven't broke a law of England, right, and there's just loads of walkers who, you know, happen to come into a forest and say, right, let's all go for a walk, right? They're not my king. They're not my leader. They're not my master or lord. So why is it when you go into a group, like, you know, for a local site and someone forms that group, right? And then why are these new admin commanders, leaders, like, oh, don't talk to and you know, this is my group. These are my people, you know? This is the problem. You don't own humans. I don't own humans. I'm not a slave master. I don't own bodies. And this is the problem. They're getting us to behave like this. And I don't know whether it was strategically planned. I think there is some amount of planning behind it. But then again, Mark Zuckerberg, he will beg and plead like, oh no, I'm trying to help you all. This is all for you. I'm trying to save the planet. I'm trying to save the world. I'm trying to make humans better. But he's not. Because he won't admit that he's manufacturing authoritarianism in individuals. But only under a wider regime where there is a hierarchy. And there are, like, we end up in China, where everyone, you know, is got to be dobbing each other in on the slightest fucking thing, you know. Even, you know, down to, you know, whether you know, pick up a cup of tea properly and, you know, tilt your wrist correctly. In China, you know, social points. It's not human. It's not right. There's something wrong with it. And while I think China's a threat, and I don't want at the moment, until, you know, why should we in this country accept, you know, another country taking over our town centre and buying it all and then, you know, infiltrating in while we're under the knowledge and understanding that they're doing all these things with their devices. They're even getting us to control, you know, just normal. You can't even help someone. You've got to have permission to help. And even if you know,